this party started. All right, well, welcome everyone. I am so excited to share this insight with you today. I have been waiting forever, what it feels like, but I really want to share some insight with you so you can negotiate and learn how to get your money. What I know for sure is that women are going to get paid over the next few years, and I want you all to be a part of that. So I am Christy Rutherford. I'm going to share some slides with y'all because I think in pictures, right? And so can y'all, okay, I can't see y'all, which is fine. All right. I'm partially a comedian, so I like to crack jokes. So if I say something that's funny, I want y'all to laugh in the chat so I can know that y'all are laughing at me. So hey, ladies. All right, let's get this party started. All right, so I'm going to put in the chat. I'm going to put the workbook in the chat just for some continued learning. And I'm going to share some slides with you because I want you to see how we create some of the barriers to our success. So, all right, let's get this party popping. So, again, Christy Rutherford, I have assisted women with getting over $20 million in salary raises and small business revenue since 2020. Look, ladies, I didn't start counting until McKinsey wrote Women in the Workplace that talked about how women were going to lose the most during the pandemic. And so I set out to prove them wrong. Not that I'm here to prove a bunch of experts wrong, but my thing is, how can you tell women that we're going to lose? Like, do you really know who we are? So I set out to prove them wrong. Can y'all hear me?
You froze for a moment.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what we're gonna do, Kate, we're gonna walk downstairs, y'all. Can y'all still hear me? Can you hear me, Kate?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. If I freeze again, I'm gonna walk downstairs. I live on the island, so my Wi-Fi is janky, and I've been in their office several times to talk to them about it's just not satisfactory. But please let me know if I freeze again, and I'll just walk downstairs. We've also gotten 30 women off of medication. Because when you don't know your value, you overwork yourself. And when you overwork yourself, we don't eat right, we don't work out, we don't take care of ourselves, and then we end up medicated. And then we save hundreds of kids from therapy talking about an emotionally absent mom because moms are locked into work. Now, what does that have to do about negotiations? And this is what I want to stress to y'all today, is that it's all connected. And as women, we've learned how to compartmentalize our lives, and we put everything in buckets. Kate, am I frozen again? Okay, no, you just turned your head. Okay, great. We put everything in buckets, and we try to wear the daughter hat, and we wear the mom hat, and we wear the wife hat, and then we wear the leader hat, and then we wear the community leader hat. And then we become like 10 different people, as opposed to understanding that if we care for the woman, for heaven's sakes, if a woman gave herself permission to take care of herself, right, which is the hardest thing, if a woman gave herself permission to engage in self-care, she can change the world. So I'm excited to share this insight today. So 3 truths about negotiating your value. Number 1, people see who you see. Ladies, I was at the HBS Women's Association, what was the conference last September, or was it November? The months are flying. And everybody talked about like that men are confident and women aren't confident, but I didn't get one solution on what we could do to be better. And it was a lot of data. And being who I am, getting all this money for women, sitting in the crowds, listening to all the data of why we couldn't get money, I was so annoyed. I was like, so is anybody going to give us permission to get this money? So what I want to start with is people see who you see. So when it comes to women asking for money, this is what we look like, right? This is what they see. Regardless of what we think we look like, this is the question when you ask, what are you going to give me? This is when you go into the negotiations conversation saying, well, what do you think? And we're asking men to determine our value as opposed to telling them, this is what I think I'm worth and this is what I expect from you. So this is what they see. So I like to think in pictures. So I want to, and I need some crowd participation here. So let me open up a chat box. I'm excited. If y'all went into your favorite seafood restaurant somewhere in Boston, you know, they have great seafood, and you go every month and you get this plate of lobster and it's $200, right? Say I see it. Y'all put it in the chat, unless y'all are like chasing kids or something. So I need the participation. Say I see it, right? Like, okay, great. Thanks, Martha. Like, I see it. You go every month. This is your jam. You love it. They give you the baguette with the salted butter on the side. I mean, it's crispy, it's hot, it's fresh, it's crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. You get the sweet potato mash on the side with the asparagus, with the slivered almonds on top. It's delicious. Now, what if one day you went and the lobster is, if I can advance, $2? What are y'all gonna say? Put it in the chat. Now, you know, when you go, it's $200. One day is $2. What are y'all gonna say? Put it in the chat. You'll take 5. That's typically what men would say. Give me 5 to go. Okay, great. Something's wrong with it. What's wrong with it? Something. Yeah. Okay, great, Aaron. So here's the thing. When you go into an organization being valued at $625,000 and you only ask for $225, they look at you like you're looking at this lobster right now. When you ask for $150 and your value is $425, because they know who they're paying in the organization. I want to be clear. They know, and we've been in rooms where some people aren't that smart. We love them though, but they're not that smart and they're getting paid all this money. Is because they truly believe that they deserve it. And you have the overworked, overqualified woman who's going to work to make it happen, who does not own her value. And those are the challenges, and that's the challenges that we have. All right. So I want you to think about and I work with women, so I like men, but I'm glad there are no men on the line. Like, this is what women do. We play safe and we don't ask, and then you continue to get overlooked for promotions, which you work harder to try to get promoted, to let them see that you have value, but you never ask. And when you ask, you don't ask for enough, and they know your value. So if you ask for another 10,000 and they know that you should get 100,000, they're going to say no, because they know that you didn't even ask properly. Does that make sense to y'all? Say it makes sense in the chat, right? Like, you be like, well, I want another 10,000. They know your value. We have doubled salaries in the same organizations because once the woman asked for her value, they were like, okay. They were like, wait, what? Okay. They know. Do you know is the question. I'm getting excited. So this is my client who got laid off last February. Now, here's the thing about her being laid off from this job last February. She took a $100,000 pay cut in this job to get this job. So when she got laid off, she was defeated, she was sad, she was depressed. So she had no passion, she was burnt out, and they let her go. So once we started doing the work in June, she remembered what got her excited. We have a self-care routine here. The self-care recipe is very easy. And I'm going to talk about it all throughout this session, what we're talking about. 1, meditate for 5 minutes 3 times a week. This is my self-care recipe. I've been talking about it for 6 years. My story has not changed. Meditate for 5 minutes 3 times a week. Work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Get 3 nights of sleep, 8 hours. That right there will change your life. Work out, meditate, get some sleep. All of those are free. And so the hardest thing that we do, because we only work with high achieving women, we only work with high achieving women who are addicted to proving people wrong. And we will run through any wall and break down any barrier to get what we want, but we won't take care of ourselves, ladies. So once she started to take care of herself, once she came back to herself, once she remembered what got her excited and what got her passionate, reconnected with her family, reconnected with her 16-year-old daughter, started taking walks along the park, which is what we think is a luxury, right? Feeding the ducks. That was her coming back to herself to remember what she was passionate about. And she doubled her salary in November. So she went from 125, pretty much she basically established the salary that she was at before she took that pay cut. She went to 256 and she has no cap. It's in sales. She's so excited. She's going to do $500,000 this year. So she's going to 4X her salary by remembering what she was passionate about. So let's talk about the imposter syndrome. How many of y'all have the imposter syndrome on the line? Put me in the chat if you struggle a little bit with it, or you can message me privately if you don't want to confess it. Okay, great. So here's the thing about the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is we're believing the wrong lie. We're greater than we are aware of. So we get into rooms that we fought for, that we've bled for, that we've clawed for, that we've worked for, and we get in the room and don't believe that we belong there. And it's like we're believing the wrong lie. We're believing that we're not good enough when we're actually super exceptional. So here's the thing. If you don't know where you're going, then you're going to continue to go in circles. And people see who you see. If they don't think that you have confidence, they're not going to promote you. If they see you overworking, stressed out, overexerting yourself, you don't have the capacity, and put me in the chat if this has happened to you. You don't have the capacity for additional responsibility. So they promote the person who's not doing 10% of the work that you're doing. Has that happened to anybody? They promote the people who haven't worked as hard, hasn't put in as, all the time, and they don't have the experience. They promote them over you because that person has the capacity for additional responsibility and you don't. So, which continues to frustration and this cycle that a lot of high achieving women get stuck in. Now, what I didn't say in the beginning, and I can wrap this up in 90 seconds, and how did I get here and talking about negotiations and overworking and all these other kind of things. So I was in the Coast Guard. I was a military officer in the military for 16 and a half years, ran through all the walls, broke down all the barriers, proved all the people wrong, got my seat at the table, and I was too exhausted to keep it. So once I finally got my seat at the executive table, I always say Nightmare on Elm Street started every morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like the seat that I fought for, I was sitting across the room from every serial killer known to man. Jason, Chucky, Freddy Krueger, and Candyman were in the room with me. And that was after 15 years of like working exhaustively. But this is what I didn't understand, ladies. I didn't know that I was going to have to defend that seat every day. Because we're taught if we get our seat at the table, and y'all know this if y'all are in the leadership rooms, we think that if we get to the room that we're good. No, you have to defend that seat every day. So I was too stressed out to keep it. And I resigned after being harassed by a toxic boss. I resigned at 16 and a half years with 3.5 years left to retire with a full pension. Right. I would have retired in 2012 with a full, I would have retired actually in 2016. I resigned in 2012. And then I started a business because I'm a winner and I'm Christy Rutherford and I like to prove people wrong. And so 18 months later, I mentally collapsed in stage 12 burnout. Like collapsed to the point I could not talk for a year. And so, once I've put myself back together again, it took me 4 years to recover mentally. I lost when I say everything, I lost everything because I was incapable of working because I could not formulate a sentence for a year. But it's a long story, but I'm here to share with you what I would have done better. So a lot of the things that we do, I only talk to high achieving women because we need the most help and nobody cares. When I started burning out, people watched me. My friends knew I was going to burn out. My family knew. Everybody watched me and nobody said anything. And they knew I was going to work myself to death. And I was doing that, y'all. Everything that I'm sharing with you today, once I started to talk to women, I'm like, oh my God, I did that too. Oh my God, you're doing the same thing. Oh my God. And so what is scary to me today is I used to watch hundreds of women do what I did in 2011 and 2012 before I mentally collapsed. Now I'm watching thousands do exactly what I did, which almost led to my demise. And so when it comes to money, y'all, We don't have to work harder. We've worked enough. You've done enough. Being tired and being burnt out is what stops you from seeing how great you are, because we're trying to prove people wrong, and then we're fighting everybody and they don't think that you belong in the room. And now what's going on is like, women don't belong here. And so we're fighting these negative voices and these perceptions, and we're not taking care of ourselves, and then we're working harder, and then a lot of women are just falling apart. So I want to save y'all from that. All right, I think that was longer than 90 seconds. So here's the thing. I have a client who got a $50,000 raise just by putting her degrees on the wall. So how many of y'all have awards that are in boxes? You got lifetime achievement awards. You got awards for being the top 1% in the company. Like me, I know it. You have Tiffany Crystal's awards. You have silver cups with your names engraved on them. Ladies, do y'all have them in boxes? Put yes in the chat, or sheepishly an M, so you don't want to say all the way me. This is what women do. Is like, we work and we prove people wrong. We get the award and we don't want to seem braggadocious. One of my clients worked for Unilever, spent 3 months after she got promoted trying to make the men feel comfortable with her being promoted. I was like, what are you, 3 months? And they were never going to give her permission to feel good about her promotion, right? So it's like, once you start to own who you already are and you can see it and remember it, it gives you the confidence to ask for your value. So take your awards out of boxes, prominently display them in a place that is seen by you and others if they need to know. Oh yeah, I went to school in Boston. Absolutely. I went to Harvard Business School. It was amazing, with dynamic, phenomenal people, and they only accept, I don't know what the statistic is, but say something that's going to show them who you are. And then what's the story that you repeat to yourself? What's the story that's stopping you from seeing how great you are? Oh, I'm tired. Or I'm going to wait for my kids to get out of school. Or I'm going to wait for this. Or just like you just talked about, I went to school in Boston. We're shrinking who we are to fit into places that we don't belong. How do we double salaries and triple salaries? Is getting the women to become aware of who they already are. And then either they're going to capture that value in the organization, or they're going to go find an organization that's going to pay them for what they're now aware of. I don't know if I can say that again. Double or triple your salary by understanding who you already are, which is the hardest for high achieving women, the hardest. It's almost like WWE, a little bit of wrestling match to get my women to take care of themselves. I mean, that's the hardest thing that we do, to get a high achieving woman to slow down long enough to look in the mirror and say, I'm great. To slow down in the mirror and look in the, to slow down enough and look in the mirror and say, I've done enough. I've worked hard enough, and working harder is not getting me to the next level. How about I just take a little bit of time to take care of myself and spend some time with my family, and then the promotion comes. So this is what I know for sure. A lot of high achieving women are running from something. And it starts typically, you know, I have a book I call Trauma Default. Trauma's all relative, y'all, right? Like, a lot of high achieving women are survivors and have been through something. But here's the thing, what we've learned. Perfectionism is also trauma. I have a client who worked at a bank. I don't want to say her name. Actually, Brooke Cianficci, she's Italian, worked at a bank. Perfectionism was Brooke's trauma. Brooke started getting awards when she was 6. She has certificates. She had them stacked up in her closet at 6. So as time has passed, Brooke is collecting all of these achievements, and that became normal to her. So now she's super wound tight in the room at a large banking institution. She wasn't that happy, even though she was successful. She would never tell people she's successful because she's been winning since she was 6. So here's my analogy, if you remember the space shuttle. When a space shuttle takes off, high achieving women have learned how to channel our pain into fuel to get us off the ground. Whatever we're running from. Maybe your mom says something, or your dad says something, or a teacher. I have clients who try to prove their law professors wrong, who said that they'll never make it. And here they are, have multiple 7-figure law companies, and they're not happy because they're trying to prove their law professor wrong, who is long gone. right? So here's the thing about a space shuttle. When a space shuttle gets off the ground, it drops the rocket boosters. And then when it gets into the air, it drops the external fuel tank and it kind of putters into outer space. What high achieving women do, we hold on to everything. And we're wondering why, if you're stuck right now, is what are you holding on to and what do you need to let go of? Is the question, right? What are you holding on to? What conversation are you holding on to? And what do you need to let go of? I have women who had $500,000, actually, I won't say her name, $2 million saved. In her mind, she didn't have money because she grew up without a lot of money. She had $2 million stacked, but in her mind, she didn't have any money. She was running from a condition that she far exceeded, but she was carrying all that with her, anxious in her job, saying that, well, anxiety runs in my family. My mom was anxious. No, she was anxious because she was working hard to make money, not understanding that she had money. I know I'm going too deep. Did y'all have y'all second cup of coffee before we got here? But I just want to give you the overview of what the real challenge is. So this is the truth about negotiating your value. I'm also going to talk about the money. So this is Diana. So that's August 2022, January 2023. Do y'all see the difference in what you look like if you get some sleep? Can y'all see the before and after? Right? Just in the joy. So number 2, negotiations start early. Your value starts long before you get to the table. So what do you think your value is? And here's the thing, y'all. I've done research on salaries. You can Google a salary. The difference in a salary that you Google at the senior levels and the manager, it could be a difference of $200,000. Women typically pick the lower end. I had a 35-year-old who interviewed for the job. They loved her at Nike. They asked her how much. She just tested it out. She was like 425,000, and they said okay. But they came back to her the next day and they were like, look, we're sorry, you interviewed for a manager position. The cap on managers is 200, but give us 2 weeks. We have to go to committee to vote to give you a director position to match what you asked for. Had she asked for what's your range or what is the cap, they would have looked out of their paper and said 200,000. Once she said 425, y'all, she was 35. I think she's 37 now. If a 35-year-old can get 400,000 like that, I mean, she's special, but I know that y'all are more special. So what do you think your value is? And if you don't know, and if you're too afraid to double it, at least add 30% to it, right? Because there is no magic algorithm or chat GPT prompt that's going to tell you what your value is. Your value is what you determine it to be. And far too long, we've watched a lot of people who aren't qualified or don't have the experience that we have get paid more because they believe that they deserve it. They really believe it too. I mean, they really believe it. And we have all the experience and we don't believe it. The environment that you grew up in impacts your value and how you see yourself. The conversations that you have with yourself, the negative, self-defeating conversations of who do you think you are? You're not that special. Don't be braggadocious, right? You're too confident. You're too much. All these things impacts how you see your value. And the gap in how you see yourself is where you're going to be exploited. The gap in how you see yourself is where you're going to be exploited, because if you don't know what your value is, nobody else is going to share that with you. That is a number. Again, if you know that you're overworked and underpaid, either double it or add at least 30%. Now, here's the thing about burnout. Burnout exacerbates the disconnect in how you see yourself. Burnout is now so pervasive. There's 12 stages of burnout. We just call it burnout. There are 12 stages of burnout. I think stage number 9 is the depersonalization stage, where you start to see yourself outside of yourself. And we're in an era now where so many people are burning out. So many leaders are burning out. And that's what I'm writing about. It's like people are saying that leadership is responsible for the mental health and the psychological safety of their people and their employees. But I'm like, who's responsible for the leaders? Mental health and psychological safety, because leaders are melting in our face. And it's like the hardest thing that a leader is going to do, but definitely a woman in leadership is going to do, is give herself permission to take care of herself. So I have a couple more slots. I'm going to go for another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to open it up to Q&A. So I hope y'all have some great questions for me. Here's the thing. If you're over, I think 40, you should know what this is. This is a jukebox. Let me know. Say I know or you don't know. Okay, great, Sheila. You are the tape player. You are not the tape. If you're having a negative conversation with yourself, Eckhart Tolle says, I'm not the voice in my head. Who am I then? The one who sees it. If you slow down long enough and you can get a sense of what you're saying to yourself, you'll be like, oh my God, we say some things to ourselves that we would never say to other people. That tape is like playing in the background at volume 5 in your life. And whenever you want to step out and take a risk, the volume goes up to 50. So I want y'all to start to think about, what are you like saying to yourself? What's that constant theme that runs through your veins when you want to step out and take a risk? The volume shoots straight up. The goal is to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, reprogram your thinking. And, I think about, some of us need our brains to be washed out from all the collection of experiences and challenges that we've had through our lives. We need to let a lot of that stuff go. So if you're the tape player, you're not the tape, either click eject. And Toby, if you know you can record over a tape, just start to reprogram your thinking. We can record over on tapes. All right. August 15th, last year. So this was one of my clients. She got laid off in the summer of the year before. She was so mad. I mean, like super mad. But she was also stressed out and overwhelmed at work, at home, or at work and at home with a toddler. She felt depleted and defeated after she had several miscarriages. So, that bleeds into work, y'all. We think that we show up and we're these superwomen at work, and then we go home. It's hard to be a superwoman, but you are to your spouse and your kids. That starts to wear on you after a while. So she was defeated and depleted after having several miscarriages. And once we gave her the self-care recipe, do y'all remember what it is? Meditate for 5 minutes, 3 times a week. Work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes and get 8 hours of sleep 3 times a week. Or 8 hours of sleep, 3 times a week. Now, why did it take her so long, almost a year, to get this money? Is because we had to wrestle her to the ground and get her to take care of herself. She was so mad. And she talked about her bosses because she was pissed when they laid her off. She wouldn't let it go. Once she started doing it, you can see I wake up at 5 a.m. I do my affirmations. I meditate. I do gratitude. I morning walks. And she listens to things to reprogram her thinking. She had to start making it a routine. And right when she says the fog in her mind lifted, everything started to change. Once she started actually taking care of herself. 2 of her old colleagues, she does mergers and acquisition, called her. Her old connections reached out. She now went from making $500,000 a year to $200,000 a month, working 3 days a week. And her old colleagues want to work for her. And I haven't talked to her in the past couple of months, but we were setting her up to do $2 million a month by hiring 4 of her old colleagues and then bringing them into her company. This is possible if you just give yourself permission to take care of yourself. So there is a statistic, I can't remember, the acronym is SWAN, but it's some women's association that talks about stress has made Black women 7.5 years biologically older than our white female counterparts, our white female sisters, right? Like, we're walking around looking older and being older in our body and our functions, right? So this is my clients 4 weeks later. If y'all can see the before and after, say I see. This was January 2022. the first picture, and her in the silver dress was last year. Once you start taking care of yourself, she's lost like 60 pounds. Yeah, thanks, Marletta. Once you start saying no, once you start getting some sleep, once you start meditating and working out, then you can create boundaries with people and start saying no. What we are terrified of is drawing boundaries with our families and other people. We're terrified of drawing boundaries at work and telling people what we're not going to do. And so we continue to like stack stuff up. And then we get overwhelmed and then we're smoked out. One of my clients last week, she's a lawyer, and we were laughing because her boss called her and asked her to do something with a very short timeline that wasn't her job. And she told him no. And he said, okay, he kept it moving, right? She said, this is not my responsibility. And you keep getting, you know that I'm traveling over the next 3 days. She would have never done that. But once she started to take care of herself, we see how other people dump stuff on us and we're not willing to do that anymore. You'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. And then they're like, okay, they'll go ask somebody else. But how many of y'all are the dependable? Put dependable in the chat. We're the dependable person that everybody calls. We're the person that is the background to everybody's foreground. We're the backbone to everything that's going on. And you're defeated and you're depleted and you're tired and you're not being recognized for your hard work. Here's the thing, y'all. I work 80 hours a week while complaining about the men who work 35 hours a week and played in every basketball and golf tournament. I could have did that too. Like, they let me work 80 hours a week and almost work myself to death, right? Like it was, and once I burned out, I was like, that was so dumb. Like, and that was me. Like, they didn't require that. That was me. So are you locked into habits that you can't get out of that they're not requiring is the question. All right, last point. Does this make sense to y'all? Am I going too far? This is how I talk. We need help. All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. So the third truth, increase your value. So people see who you see. If you show up thinking that you're an imposter, that's what they see. And they say, okay, she's an imposter. She doesn't deserve it. Negotiations start early before you get there, based on what you're saying to yourself and how you see yourself. If you don't think you deserve it, they don't think you deserve it, right? And how do you now increase your value? Oh, this is my favorite. Okay, I got 9 minutes left. So this is an Hermes bag. This is how they describe this Hermes bag. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to read a couple of sentences for effect. The Himalaya Birkin comes both with and without diamonds. The Diamond Himalaya is infamous for being the most expensive handbag ever sold at auction. In 2017, the Diamond Himalaya Birkin sold for over $400,000. Its estimated retail price was $300,000, but the rarity of the Hermes bag drove the price point up at auction. It is constructed out of the Nilolactis crocodile skin dyed in a white and gray radiant. The unique coloring of the Hermes bag is intended to evoke the white-capped peaks of the Himalaya mountains. This coloring pairs perfectly with the 18-karat white gold hardware, which is of itself studded with white diamonds. And Candina Lock alone is comprised of 68.4 grams of 18-karat white gold and encrusted with 40 white, round, brilliant diamonds. Last one. On the bag, 3 different structural elements of the Birkin. The Tourette, the Pontet, the Plaques de Salgons features more than 200 diamonds for a total of 8.2 carats. Yeah, I mean, you get excited when you read about this bag. My God. Now we know why it's worth $400,000. Now, but if you want a bag on the flashiest side, go with the River Island structured shopping bag. The crocodile style pattern, burgundy color, and gold accents will immediately spice up your outfit. Now, why did I offer this? When you're describing yourself to yourself and on your resume, are you saying that you will spice up an outfit, or are you talking about Plaques de Salgons and Pontets and Tourettes? Are we talking about encrusted white gold diamonds that are meant to evoke the white cap peaks of the Himalaya mountains? Does that make sense? Y'all say it makes sense. If you're not getting people excited about how great you are, it's all about how they describe these bags, which determine their value. So if you're not necessarily describing yourself in great detail, because we don't want to be braggadocious, we don't want to say too much, we don't want to seem too smart, we don't want to put the 20 awards on our resume because they're going to think we're going to come in and be intimidated. If anytime you think that The people are going to be intimidated by you. You need to go 2 levels up. Point blank, period. Because senior leaders want rock stars on their team. But ladies, you have to understand and know and be able to verbally and confidently tell them who you are without blinking. And they'd be like, my God, a woman has just walked in the room who knows who she is. Open the door wide open. Now, this bag is $63, is out of stock, and you can get 20% off with the coupon code. So the difference in the $400,000 bag and the $63 bag isn't just in the description, but that makes a huge part of it. So my last example, April last year, Amazon. You know, they done laid off so many people. My client was working 16 hours a day from home. She's 43 with 8-month-old twins. How many of y'all know she was going through it? She called me. Yo, I know what burnout sounds like. I did it, like, to the tune of took 4 years to recover mentally. She stopped combing her hair and she stopped taking showers. I said, you know, you're about to work yourself to death, right? She could not stop. She could not stop her habits. Burnout is habitual and it breaks everything. So she was literally going to work herself to death. So once she got some sleep, meditated, worked out. I mean, it took us about 4 months to try to get, not 4 weeks to get into that rhythm. But once she started to do that, about 2 months, let's see, we have a 4-month program, 2 months after that. So 6 months later, now they laying off people left and right. She wrote a job description to solve a problem. She said, you know what? And y'all have seen it. How many of y'all have seen, put me in the chat, problems that you can solve for your organization? And you take it on as a free project, thinking that they're going to see your value. Or we see problems that nobody's addressing. She saw a problem that has not been addressed. She wrote a job description and went to her management team and said, this is what I can do for y'all. And this is what I'm going to require in return. So her pay went from $289,000 to $420,000. And then this year is going to be $433,000. So she got an increase based on solving a problem that they knew they had. So she showed them what her value was while they've laid off tens of thousands of people. So when you're thinking about where you are in your role, if your role is, you know, being taken over by AI or is being depleted or you're nervous, is like, let me go tell them what my value is and how I can help them solve their problems. And I want more money for it because it's going to be more work, or actually it's less work. Okay. So this is my client, October 2021. So I like to show y'all the wide spectrum of diversity over here because it's my Latina sister. Y'all see the complete difference in the way that she looks? I have like a catalog of every year what she looks like, but the goal is a lot of people are looking worse as the years have passed. People have come out of COVID and the chaos has never stopped. The goal is for you to look better every single year. Happy, freer, richer. All right. So let's talk about how do you ask. I always tell my clients to ask in threes. It's asking in three. Don't hesitate to ask largely. Ask for all your money. This is what you say. These are the 3 things that I've done in the past 18 months. How you've made the money, how you save the money, or how you save them time. And saving time is about money. And I know that y'all have done things. I know that y'all are exceptional women on this line. I know it. You've made this company $20 million or $5 million or $100 million, and you haven't asked to be compensated for your value that you've given to them. So these are the 3 exceptional things that I've done in the past 18 months. And these are the 3 things that I like in return. This conversation should be about 60 seconds. These are the 3 things that I've done. Bam, bam, bam. We're not going long into it. You're not going into the details. I've increased the revenue, over $10 million in the past 18 months. I've stopped 5 people from quitting. You know Linda was going to leave. And then I've also, whatever it is, saved 5,000 manager hours for a project that I created. This is what I like in return. I want 30% added to my base salary. I want a $50,000 cash bonus. And I would like to, have an executive coach, or I want a flexible work schedule. Whatever is important to you today. So always ask for the money. And when you ask for the money, y'all, don't be like, well, what do you think I should get? Or give me a range. No, you ask for a clean number. I want 30% added to my base salary. Or if you just want a cash bonus, ask that. If you get if the bonus goes up when you get an increase in your base salary, then you don't have to ask for that, because that's included. That's automatic. So ask for something different. Whatever it is, whatever you want, ask for it. And if you have a new job, when it comes to what do you say when they ask what's your value, you say my total comp requirement is, and just give them one clean number. And women get messed up with this because we're trying to give them, oh, I want, 212 base and a 30% this and a 15% this and vacation days. Just one clean number. My total comp requirement. This 35-year-old said it. The 35-year-old can ask for $425,000 and get it with a $140,000 sign-on bonus. She said, I want $425,000. I took 3 negotiations classes at Harvard. So I love it. Just say your number and then just sit back. It's not that hard, y'all. So, all right. Well, I'm excited I hope y'all have some questions for me, please. So on the left, I would love to connect with y'all on LinkedIn. That's my QR code for my LinkedIn profile. And then on the right, if y'all want to check out some of the Forbes article, we just had a Forbes article that was done last December that I dropped all the gold and all the nuggets in that article. Maybe I'll find it before we jump off. And I was like, I think I gave away too much. I gave away the farm in this thing. But do y'all have any questions? Does anybody have any questions?
Christy, hi. Thanks so much. This has been a great presentation, both from standpoint of inspiration, but all of the points that you brought up. And I'm wondering, in this current environment, which has been evolving very quickly, where fear is very much in the air because of elimination of DEI programs, jobs being cut, and all of that. How do you still maintain your value, whether it's negotiating salaries or consulting or whatever it is you're doing, or even raising money in this environment where the predominant feeling is fear, and also people saying, wow, you're lucky if you have a job, you're lucky if this. So how do you go forward and apply what you're saying in this kind of environment?
Thank you for that question, Deborah. So here's the thing, y'all. This is the same conversation y'all just forgot. I didn't forget. In 2020, COVID destabilized everything. This is when people were going to work, leaving their office and going to work from home. And that was, who's going to pay for my coffee and who's going to pay for my toilet tissue and all of these other kind of things. And, oh, what about the restaurants? And so it's like, you should be lucky to have a job, because Amazon was laying off people. Big tech was laying off people in 2022 or 2020 as well, right? And so the conversation, y'all, has never ended. It just looks like, Deborah and everybody else, like the lighter fluid has been thrown on the conversation, but y'all are forgetting. That's why I talked about $20 million since 2020. People are still getting paid. I had a client last week that got a $95,000 raise. I have a client that emailed me this morning in LinkedIn and was like, hey, somebody just asked me to apply for executive director position. I got 2 paid keynotes. I didn't even solicit. So the women who are clear on who they are, who take care of themselves, who study their heads and their beingness, are winning. So the conversation now, it used to be where, can y'all see me? Did I turn my camera stuff? So it used to be 2020 was like this spike in hysteria. And then we thought it was going to go back down, but the spike is just steady. Now hysteria is normal. Job instability is normal. Saying that what we can't do is normal. And men are continuing to take advantage and get paid while we feel lucky to have a job, but we're the women on their teams doing their work. People will pay you because they don't want their intellectual property to walk out of the door. Once you understand who you are and why you're here, you won't be nervous. You'll ask for your money. My client, I just showed y'all on Amazon, they were laying off people left and right. She was like, you know what? You're going to lay me off. Let me show you what I can do for you. But if she would have got laid off, she was going to go somewhere else, pick up her bed and walk. She was going to leave and go somewhere else. So I don't want y'all to be afraid. The fear mongering affects women because women, are carrying additional baggage that men aren't carrying. Y'all have additional worries. You have kids to take care of, and you worry about the tuition, and you worry about, is the household going to be taken care of, and you worry about your parents, and you worry about your siblings. Men aren't carrying that baggage. So our fear is going to be magnified based on not having the perspective, and you're already tired, right? Not having those things that come into bear. So I'm not, one of my clients a couple years ago said I was selling her pie in the sky. I'm like, it's not pie in the sky. You just take care of yourself. And I had to learn this the hard way. So I'll go with Rafa, and then I'll answer Michelle's question in the chat.
Christy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I didn't know what to expect from this session, but you got me crying a lot when you talked about imposter syndrome and perfectionism as a trauma. Really appreciate you going deep into that. My question is related to the last thing you said, which is when we are in a negotiation. So we do the 3 asks, or we ask in 3s, and then we sit back and wait. My question to you is, what happens, if things go wrong, if they say no? Should you be willing to say, well, then I'm out? How do you deal with that kind of situation? Like, if you need to kind of spin around a little bit.
So when you ask, and if they say no, can you hear me? Because you paused, but I did get your question. So if y'all ask and they say no, now you can start seeking other opportunities. Look, women are loyal to dysfunction. We're loyal to disrespect, which is insane. We're loyal to fighting all the time. We shouldn't have to go to work to fight. We have normalized that. And that's not fair, right? So it's like, I got offered jobs all the time when I was in the Coast Guard. I was like, no, I'm going to get my money, and this is safe and secure money. Federal government used to be secure, right? Like, no, they wanted to double my salary like that. I was like, oh, no. I would just prefer to go fight every day for my security because I know that this check is guaranteed. So here's the thing. Once you start looking at other roles, you want to see how other people see you. That's what we don't do. We are basically, our perception of how we see ourselves and our perspective of how we see ourselves is based on how our current leadership team sees us, which is a reflection of how we see ourselves. So it's like, go start to talk to other people. And once you start to go talk to other people, you'll be like, wow, you see that I'm awesome? Oh my God, you think that I'm great? So if you can't remember right off the bat, start going to look at other opportunities, right? That's one. So when you come ask, and if they say no, just be like, okay. But then go start to seek your value elsewhere. It's not about asking and being rejected when they say no. It's about asking and being informed if they say no. Now you see, right? Because they'll string us along. I want to be clear. These organizations are like, oh no, we can't do that for the next 18 months. You have to determine, you be like, oh, okay. Once you become aware of how great you are, you determine whether or not you want to wait the 18 months. And then 18 months later, they'll be like, oh no, the budget just went down. We don't know what's going to happen with the government. It's going to be another year. You have the opportunity to go and look at other opportunities, and you don't have to do that. But don't get mad, just be informed. You now see how they see you. And asking y'all is all about you now understanding what the truth is. And if we don't ask, we always expect. We never ask, but we always hope. Asking is a informational session. Asking is, oh, okay, great. Now I know now I can act accordingly as opposed to going around in circles and swirling in the dark. Does that make sense, Rafa? Okay, good. All right. So somebody asked a question about age bias. So all right, Michelle. So here's the thing about age bias. People want more mature and fine as wine women on their teams, right? So people want seasoned and experienced people on their teams. So like startups, y'all already know, like startups and I mean the startups that got money, not the startups who don't, not the broke ones. The startups that have great creators, but they're not great leaders. Start to look at some of those organizations. But age bias isn't a challenge unless you try to, I ain't gonna say you try to make it one, but I have one of my clients was 62 and got hired at a startup, and they paid her so much money, and she got she doubled her salary, got $4,000 or $5,000 bonuses. She became the confidant to the CEO and the president because she was 62. She became their this is so funny, I'm gonna say it, but this is what I see. If y'all watch the movie Ferdinand, she became their calming goat. Right? This probably wasn't a good analogy, Rafa. I can see your face. But it's like she was mature. So when everybody's getting excited, she's seen hysteria before. She's not. So they hired 2 executive assistants. She was their EA. They hired 2 executive assistants to take her job while they brought her out of the office politics just to be the person that calms them down and be rational to them. That they needed that. And then when the company went public, they gave her stock options and I mean A and B and all this other kind of stuff. So when the new leadership team came in, when they went public, they basically fired her, but she had so much money saved up and she has so much money from the bonuses and the stock options. She's now an RV park event coordinator out on the ranch looking at moose and eating pancakes every day. That was her dream. So I don't want you to, if you feel defeated in that, is like people want you and they want your experience. You just need to tap into where that's going to be. And Michelle, tell them who you are and what you know clearly. Like, this is who I am. I've been in the game. I don't know how mature you are because you look fine in your picture, but it's like, I've been in the game 20, 25 years. I've been in the game 40 years. I've seen this. I can help prevent some of the things that are going on. I can help you predict what's going to happen because I've seen these patterns before. Tell them who you are. Let me know if that makes sense to you. All right. What is your advice to maximize your value when you're self-employed and a consultant? So tell me what kind of consultant, Martha, so I can give you direct feedback.
I help companies better understand who their customers are. So I provide market research services.
Okay. So I would, I would be a little bit more, maybe
I just said, like, it's all project based, relatively short term, couple month long projects.
Okay. Well, does it have to be short term or can it be longer term?
Easier to get if it's shorter term.
But it's more secure if it's longer. I would start to offer, the longer period first and see if they bite, and if not, then back up. So you can put a little bit more security around it. And that's what you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. And you can also raise your prices by telling them how great you are. I love a good price raise. What if the request during negotiation? What if the request is during the negotiation for a new job? What request, Toby? The request, you mean the request for the pay that you want? Can you take yourself off mute? Is that what you're asking for, Toby?
Yes. If the salary increase or the package is at negotiation for a new job, as against you're already in the job, how, and they say no, what should you do?
Wait, so if a new job, give me the scenario so I can answer the right question for you.
So you're negotiating for a new job. It's and then you give them a ballpark, say 425, for example, and they say to you no. How do you manage that?
Okay, so ask them, all right, well, if it's not 425, like what's the max, right? Can we go to 400 and this? Or like with the 35-year-old who asked for 425, the top for directors was 400, but she said, okay, well, can you take that 25,000 and put that on my sign-on bonus? And they said, okay. So it's like, okay, well, can we make it 375 and this? But what I want you to be clear on, Toby, is what's the minimum you're going to go to, right? Like if you're going to 300, then you've just undersold yourself $125,000 and you're going to be mad. It's like, they're not that important. So if your number is 425 or 425, well, you know that going into the door, y'all. And that's on the worksheet that I gave you, right? Like, what are your 8 requirements? You know, going into the door. All right, they really started at 1 o'clock. What time is it? I'm about to punch my neighbors. Okay. Can y'all hear that? I hope it ain't annoying. I told my neighbors to chill out. Okay, thank you, Ralph. My God, you'd be like, for an hour, don't do any construction. But if you go into it saying that my minimum is 375, no, you know that, Toby. But I'm gonna ask 425. So it's like, okay, well, what about 400? So look, here's the thing about negotiation, y'all. If y'all get locked in and you're afraid, then that's where we mess up. When you're aware of who you are, it's like, all right, well, I'll take 400 and an executive coach. That's a different pot of money. Or I'll take 400 and a flexible work schedule. I'll take 400 and I'll travel less. Whatever's important to you. I'll take 400 and I'll go take a whatever Stanford class of negotiation so I can negotiate better when I leave y'all. But it's like whatever you want, but know what your minimum is when it becomes a deal breaker for you. Did that make sense? Okay, great. All right, let's see. My chat. Oh no, mouse is acting up. All right. And one of the things that I want to say with regard to, that's why I asked you to be specific on that. When companies ask you, what's your number, right? When it's not listed and they be like, what's your number? You ask them for your value. Right. And what they want to know when they are talking to you, they want to know whether or not when they want to know how you see yourself. So a lot of women get nervous. They be like, oh my God, they haven't even talked to me yet. And we haven't even interviewed each other. And they want to know my number. Well, what they want to know is, are they in DSW when they come talk to you, or are they in SACS? That's all they want to know. They want to know, are you DSW? Are you SACS? Those are 2 completely different shoppers and expectations. When you walk in SACS, you already know the shoes are $900 to $3,000. DSW, it depends on what color sticker on it. Why would you pay full price for a DSW shoe? I mean, what's wrong with you? So they want to know when they talk to you, what are they getting? So nobody's wasting their time. You don't need to spend 12 hours with people as a person who's in SACS, and then you find out that they saw you as a DSW. Now you're mad and you've wasted 12 good hours with people who never saw you for your value. I prefer for people to ask me up front what I want, right? You should prefer the number to be up front so y'all ain't wasting time. Now that we've come to an agreement, now let's see whether or not we like each other. Interviews are not warfare. Looking for jobs is like dating. You like them, do they like you? All right, great. Now let's talk about the exchange of work for an agreed upon price and an agreed upon package. All right. Zonana, let me know if I messed your name up. I'm from South Carolina, so I apologize in advance. Jobs are required to post the salary range. How do you negotiate? Navigate that to negotiate. Tell them why you deserve the top of the range. Ask for the top, and then tell them what you've done. So in the when you're looking for a new job, and I think I have it in the worksheet, y'all, on the last page. This is the format. This is what I can do for you. So it's the 3 things that you've done, exceptional things that you've done in your career, rock star things that you've done in your career, the things that you got the awards for, right? That you have in boxes until you get home. These are the 3 things that I've done. So it's like, this is what I can do for you. So you're telling them what you can do for them because this is what I've done. I can come in, when you talked about, I can come in and I can assist you with finding the right customers and the right client base, because, and whatever the 3 things are, these are the 3 things, this is what I can do for you, 3 things, because this is what I've done. I've assisted organizations with going from $1 million to $10 million in 18 months. I've assisted organizations with going from $100 million to $1 billion corporation in the past 5 years because I've done that, right? So it's like, this is what I can do for you, whatever problem they want solved, because this is what I've done. And these are the 3 things that I require in return. Let me know if that made sense to y'all. Put yes if that made sense. 3 things. This is what I can do for you. This is how I can help you solve your problem, because this is what I've done. The 3 things that you've done that relate to that, that is amazing. And these are the 3 things that I require. You just ask, my total comp requirement is. So just give the total comp. Don't go into the base and the bonus and the this and that. Tell them what the total comp is, and you let them figure out how to pay you. And ask for the top range, and then tell them why you deserve it. And with a straight face, like what? You shouldn't even be talking about the bottom number. The bottom number is for losers. The bottom number is for people who aren't aware of who they are. The bottom number is for people who didn't go to Harvard Business School. Like, why we even have this conversation? Like, do you know who you're talking to right now? Do y'all have any more questions? I get excited. I could talk for 10 hours. I won't though, because we're all busy. But yeah, definitely y'all can inbox me on LinkedIn if y'all have any questions. And this is what I talk about. This is what I do, because there is so much opportunity out here for women. But y'all, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to understand who we are. We have to take ownership of how great we are and the great things that we've done, and not be afraid to own it. Women are afraid to own it while we watch men quantum leap again and again and again and again. And that's not fair to us, but that is completely 100% in our power and in our control. And I hope that after this conversation, you'll take charge of your career and you'll take control of your fate, and you will win this year and next year and the year after that and the year after that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy. We really enjoyed you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.